Okay, well, thanks everyone for tuning in and welcome back to Pedagogically Speaking. We are very lucky to be joined today by Cindy Romp. Now, a you are a lot of things, Cindy. I think anyone who knows you can attest to that. So you are a middle school music teacher. You're a mom. You are an expert and awarded baker. You have your bachelor's in music, and you also have your master's in music. You're the past president of the Greater Victoria Music Educators Association, the past president of the BC, British Columbia Music Educators Association, and I think in 2014 and 2022, you were the Fine Arts Advocate of the Year. Is that true?
Yeah, I was awarded that through.
Oh, that's amazing. So you have done it all. And so what did I miss there? Because I'm sure I've missed something.
That's good.
So
Well, I guess you can say I'm the first VP of the GVTA as well.
there you go. Excellent. And how long? So you've been advocating, I would say, for music for your whole career. When did you start kind of advocating more for kind of all teachers? And what made you choose that?
For all teachers, not just music.
Yeah.
Well, when I was shoulder tapped to join the GVTA executive and run for the second vice president of our local union.
Excellent. And so how long into your career did you start with, or were you always involved with the Greater Victoria Music Educators Association and or the British Columbia Music Educators Association?
Yeah, from the beginning of my career, when I first started teaching in Victoria, that is, I was asked to be, I was part of the executive, the Greater Victoria Music Educators Association. I started out as secretary and worked my way up to president, and I actually have done that role twice now. I've always been just kind of involved.
When you were doing university, I guess what made you even become a music teacher? Well, you know what we forgot in your intro? You are a singer, you're in a band, and don't you play like the trumpet and the piano?
In that band I play the tenor sax and the piano and backup.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
the band is called Bobby Dazzle.
Yeah, and you're amazing. Anyone who's ever been to the Esquimalt Rib Fest, you were there 2 years in a row, right? Yeah. So what made you get into music education?
Well, music has always been a big part of my life. I started playing piano when I was 4, and then in elementary school I played alto sax in grade 6 and 7, and then I moved to Nanaimo and was in band there, and I played alto in grade 8 and then tenor sax from grade 9 to 12, and I've always been involved in the band program. And my band teacher Brian Stoffel was amazing, and we had so many great experiences and opportunities, and music has always been a part of my life. So when I initially decided to go into science here, I was actually trying to be an engineer.
Cool.
Yeah, my best subjects in high school, it wasn't music, it was physics and math. So I just thought that was the way to go. And then I did that, and I got tired of all the different labs. And so then, and I also, I taught in a private piano studio since I was 16.
Wow.
And then later on had my own piano studio. And I just missed music and being around it, because it was such a big part of my life, and I didn't really realize it until it was gone. And so then my piano teacher at the time, I was still taking lessons through my science undergrad with Dr. Adrian, I don't remember her name, it was so long ago. Anyway, she encouraged me to audition at UBC and UVic, and UVic let me in, and then the rest is history, I guess.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
And so if you were in Nanaimo and then you went to UVic, did you start teaching in Victoria, or did you start teaching in Nanaimo?
I did my undergrad in secondary music education at UVic, but my first job was actually in Nanaimo at my old high school. So I taught senior concert band, junior jazz band, and media studies, and some of my students were my friends' siblings. So that was really weird.
That's amazing. I can't imagine doing that.
And then I got offered a job in Victoria, because I was already on the TOC list here when I first started teaching. And then I applied for, somebody went on a leave at Lansdowne Middle School, and so then I took over that program while he was away. And then after that, a job came up at Cedar Hill. So then I started teaching at Cedar Hill, and the rest is history.
Wow. So how long have you been teaching?
I'm into my 23rd year.
That's amazing. So you've taught kids that have turned into parents.
Yes, and have their own kids.
Wow. That is pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, yeah.
So when you think back to your own beginnings in music, is there a moment that still gives you goosebumps? Something that reminds you why you've sort of dedicated your life to teaching music, really? Because I imagine it's not an easy thing to teach. Like, how many students do you even have in your classes?
Last year, my biggest class size was 70, and just me.
I don't want 30 in my class.
That's because in our district, music is exempt from class size and composition.
Really? Okay, so that means that they can just fit as many students as they want in your classes.
Theoretically.
And then what happens, like, is there a way to sort of push back against that, or kind of is there sort of a fear of doing that because it's also not mandatory, is it? Like, students have to want to be there.
Students have to want to be there. It's an elective, and so if we don't have the numbers, then we can't have a class. So it's complicated at the middle school level here in BC and in Victoria. Music, the way it's run in Victoria, it's not funded by the ministry. So the district funds music through extra funding that they provide. So it will always be an item on the budget if they're in a deficit, and so it's complicated, I think. So we're allocated a certain FTE, which gets interpreted. That's the word I'm trying to find. Okay. Interpreted into minutes, and so at least we have the freedom to allocate those minutes however we want and how we see fit that will benefit our program. So I chose last year to have 70 students so that I could run a second jazz band, but that will no longer be happening this year. So I'm going to have one jazz band instead of two so that I can split those grade 8s into 2 different classes.
Okay, so kind of tumultuous, if you will. So what is it that kind of keeps you going? What was that kind of goosebump moment of becoming a music educator that you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely what I'm supposed to be doing, and it kind of keeps you going?
I guess it's a number of things. The music classroom in high school was a safe space. So I was there whenever I could be, recess, lunch, after school. And me being racialized in a predominantly white community in Nanaimo, especially at that time, I don't know what it's like now because that was over 20 years ago. I think I was one of 6 Filipino students in a school of 1,400.
Wow, that's really rough.
Yeah, and so it was okay, but it was weird coming from I grew up in Prince Rupert, which was very diverse, and so moving to Nanaimo into this type of community was quite different. It was a big adjustment, and so the music room was always a safe space, and I wanted to have that for my own students and for my own kids. On top of that, music is it builds community, it creates connections. It's when you work so hard towards, for example, a piece of music, and then you're able to perform it in a way that it just gives you goosebumps when you're playing because the music is so good, Yeah. And that's something you don't get in math.
Definitely.
But you get this type of feeling, this emotional connection with each other and with what you're doing to create this one moment, special moment in time, to create something beautiful. And that's something I also wanted to share with students.
That's cool. That's amazing. And also, I feel like sometimes you have teachers who understand the importance of music in schools and how, kids are learning to problem solve when they're in music and they're learning to listen to others, right? You can't start until someone else starts. And there's so many different aspects of learning that really come together in music that I feel like some people maybe don't appreciate that. And
I think another thing that students like about music that it can bring them joy, it's fun, and they can be themselves. And not every student is going to go to university and get a university degree and And it's the type of environment that is just so accepting.
Yes.
It makes them feel like they belong. And these are, unfortunately, a lot of people don't see that unless they had their own kids in music or experienced it themselves. So they just don't know because they haven't experienced.
Yeah. Do you think, because music really is an art, is all around us, do you think people just don't realize that when they're watching a movie that it's scored by musicians, or that like their video game has music in it? Like advertisers pay good money to have music in their commercials. Like, is it just something that it's around so much so people kind of forget that it's there?
I think they don't realize the impact until it's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair. Going back, kind of talking about how you were one of very few Filipino students in your high school, how has navigating that in your career been? Have you felt supported? Have you had other teachers in your school who were also racialized, or how has that been for you?
Well, music is such a small community, and Victoria
Right.
is another community amongst itself. And what's nice about Victoria, or not, it depends how you look at it, is a lot of us went to school together. So we've already built those relationships, and we're all pretty close and support each other that way. But when you get out of Victoria, it's very male-dominated, this career.
Right.
In a lot of ways. And so I'm being fortunate enough to be in a community that's been very accepting, welcoming, and supportive. Now, with my own school community, at the beginning of my career, I was the only racialized person on an entire school staff.
Oh my goodness.
At least 10 years. So yes, there were microaggressions, but the staff at my school is just like, they're lovely. When I talk to them about things like that, then they realize, oh, I'm so sorry, that's not what I meant. They put in the work, a lot of them. Yeah.
That's good. How was it some of the first times speaking up for yourself, and in order, to say that what you've said or what you've done is inappropriate or wrong or whatever it was? Because I can imagine that must be kind of a hard thing to do, to kind of, to be in that space and then to stand up for yourself, and then because you don't know how the reactions are going to go.
It's interesting. I remember one the Pro D committee, they're doing the work, and they found a book, an American book, that talks about culture, and they had an example of a tree and the roots, and then the trunk, and then the leaves, and of different parts of culture. And then they explained like the roots for culture. I don't remember what it was, but one thing that stuck with me is they said that the leaves, more external parts of culture, is like food. And I was like, oh, no.
No.
In Filipino culture,
Yeah.
In Filipino culture, it's like the center of all things.
Yeah.
And when I brought this up, I said, this is just one way of looking at culture. It's not encompass all cultures. And I gave an example of food.
Right.
And it's how, like, our parents show us love. How everybody shows love through food.
Wow. Yeah. Of course.
You bring them food. You buy them food. Everything is centered around food. So, and I explained this, and they're just like, yeah, no, that's not right. I'm like, no, I strongly disagree. And then one teacher who is white but is married to somebody who is Chinese said, no, this is the way it is in Asian culture. I was like, thank you. But it took, another white teacher to say that, right? For everybody else to go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
that's...
And then talking with my husband, I was really mad. So, yeah.
So, yeah. That's pretty rough when you can like speak from your own experiences, and then it still takes another white person to be like, no, it's true, for people to believe you. But then I'm like, did it get better after, like you said, 10 years until you had another teacher that kind of came who was racialized? As those years progressed, did it get easier?
There's more diversity now on staff. I remember for the first time I saw a racialized teacher come. She was our counselor. Her name was Sonia. And I didn't even know her, and I saw her in the hallway, and we both looked at each other and gave each other a big hug. I was like, oh my God, a racialized teacher.
Nice.
And she laughed, and I said, "My name is Cindy." And she's like, "I'm glad you said that because I was thinking the same thing."
Oh, well, that must have been really nice.
Yeah, but I mean, there is more diversity now, which is.
Do you find a lot of kind of younger teachers coming into the mix who maybe are Filipino or racialized? Do you find that they kind of seek you out and ask for advice or help?
Well, no, not really, because
Okay.
I'm music, and it's kind of isolating, and I'm only there part-time now because I'm with the.
Fair enough. Okay, so as a music educator, you've seen firsthand what happens when a student finds their voice through music. Can you share a story of a student whose life was changed in ways that you didn't expect?
Oh, there's so many.
I believe that because I've been to a restaurant with you and you can tell me not just what everyone's name is, but also what instrument they played.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and everyone knows you. It's amazing.
I've taught a lot of students. Yeah, I remember this one particular student. They were really bullied and had a lot of trauma and
Right.
didn't want to come to school. I mean, yeah. And me and my teaching partner, Melissa, we met with the mom and she explained all that sort of. It'll be fine. We'll keep an eye on it too and support you. And, well, I should say them. They go by they now. And so they were in almost everything, band, jazz band, all the choirs. They weren't in strings, but they kept them in school. And they are now a plumber. And he had a lot of mental health issues, like a lot of mental health issues. And their mom attributes our music program and music in general for keeping him alive. And they've gone to school board meetings and said so. Yeah, and I get a little bit emotional because
Yeah,
to
of
see
course.
them doing so well now. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, you must also have, whole entire families that have thanked you because really music is so inclusive.
It's so inclusive.
Okay, so just to kind of go back on a little bit what we discussed, music is often the first program to be cut when schools face tough decisions. I know you've been involved in the budgeting sessions a few times just to advocate for music. How do you keep hope alive for music education when you're up against such systemic challenges?
It's a good question because it's so emotionally draining, physically draining to fight this fight every year, but at least in the past few years it hasn't been so intense. But what keeps me going is my kids are still in elementary school and I want them to have the same opportunities as students before them. So, because it's changed so, like my life and other people's lives, that I want them to have a safe place and have the same positive experiences and in school with music. And I know they're very musically inclined and would like it, so I think that's what keeps me going to advocate.
So you've mentioned that you have kids and they're musically inclined and they are sort of keep you going for this advocacy work as tiresome as it must be. How or what toll does it take on your family, all of the kind of advocacy work that you've done and I can only assume that you are continuing to do? I know I can't imagine what it's like to just continuously kind of hit your head against a brick wall. So yeah, like how does that affect your family life and how does your family come out and support you?
Well, I have to give a big kudos to my husband. He's amazing. Yeah, without him, I don't think I could have done any of it because he would be the one when I'm at meetings taking care of the kids, making sure they're fed and that I've eaten. And he understands that I'm very passionate about this and how he also understands how important music education is, even though he himself is not a music teacher. The kids, I think they get it, but they were much younger, but they understood that this is important to mommy, this is important to thousands of kids in our district.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think they know. I'm in a lot of meetings, but I try to make it up for them on weekends and in summers, and I take them out on little dates after. And when they ask questions, like I don't like cover code things. I tell them exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, in a way
No
that
sugarcoating.
they would understand, hopefully. And you know, the past one a few years ago, Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you're really just also raising the next generation of advocates, making sure that people have access to what they need and what they deserve.
Yeah. I hope so.
So I'm listening to you and I'm hearing so much about inclusion, especially as a learning support teacher, I'm hearing so much about, safe spaces and everything that I try to do in schools and in other people's classrooms. And really, I think of education as being about community and belonging, but really music education has a lot to do with community and belonging. I think on many different levels, including within the music room. What does it feel like to stand in front of an ensemble and sense that moment when everyone is breathing and creating together, like when it really just starts jiving?
It's just magic. It's just magic, depending on the piece for me. Sometimes, like, I remember this one piece called Rhythm Dance, and there's this part that it's just the climax of the whole piece. And I remember one time there's this part where the first trumpet is just like right there, hitting that really high note, and it just makes it for the whole performance. And it, like, even goosebumps, me just talking about it. I just remember that feeling. It's just like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. I love this moment. I just want to soak it all in. And I don't pay attention to anything behind me, the audience.
Right.
It's all about the students and getting them to work together and creating this music and this moment together. So I love it. It's so fun. It's so
amazing.
Fun.
When I was working in middle school, I remember listening to whenever the bands would do their daytime concerts, and it does bring me to tears. It is just so beautiful. And also, like big props to music teachers. You all think of the coolest songs to do. It's such an interesting mix. Like, it is amazing what you can get those students to do. Over the years, do you find that students will all want to do like one instrument and you have to try to like make them take other instruments, or are there really kids that want to play the bassoon? Like, what's going on?
There are kids that want to play the bassoon.
Wow.
So in grade 6, like I put on a big show, and we demonstrate all the instruments. I don't demonstrate instruments. I don't do that anymore because this is easier to find professionals on YouTube and put them together.
Right.
So that's what I do. But they also have the opportunity to come into the music room and try all the instruments.
Very
and
cool.
I think in that way we kind of like, oh, trombone, you made a beautiful sound. That can be hard to do. You sounded great. But yeah, that type, just to try to push them towards and encourage them that way.
Right.
And so I've been pretty fortunate that through this process, it's more or less a pretty balanced band. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I don't have much experience in any middle school band, but I also went to a K-8 school. But I definitely really wanted to do the cello for some reason, and I tried really hard. I was terrible at it, but I tried really hard. I liked it.
It can be tricky.
But it is interesting what kids will choose. But I think it was also just strings. That was just strings. I don't think there was anything else. Excellent. So if you could take parents, administrators, policymakers, people in charge of funding schools now, inside your classroom for one day, what do you think their takeaway would be about understanding the power of music and music education?
If I could take them, not just one day, but like different parts of the year. So I would take them to one of my beginning band, grade 6 rooms where we're just learning how to play their instrument, and they're just learning. And most people that walk in, they walk back out right away.
It's the chaos of sound.
Yeah, they can't control their sound. It's so loud, but they're so excited,
Yeah.
But then they walk out and I'm like, how do you do this? It's so loud and it's so chaotic. How do you do, there's so many instruments and just you. Yeah, I know. It's true, but I get through it, and then taking them to what they sound like at the end of the year, and then maybe one day in grade 7, and then what they sound like in grade 8. Like, it's a huge difference years can make. Wow. But I also have to say, like, our district has been fortunate enough to have these middle school music programs, because Victoria It's not like that anywhere else in the province.
Right.
Music is run in Victoria. So in that way, like, we're very fortunate. We run our middle school programs almost like high school programs. Because we offer so many different ensembles, whereas other places can't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're pretty fortunate that way.
Going back to the room of chaos, how do you get everyone to tune their instruments? Like, is that like, how many weeks does it take to teach a kid to tune their instrument? Do they ever learn it?
No. Well, it's like an ongoing process. You still learn about tuning and intonation in university.
Oh.
So it's a process. Muscle development, practice, ear training, just all of those a little bit at a time each year, a little bit of it each year. Yeah.
And so when you had that class of 70 students, what grade was that?
That was only grade 8.
So it wasn't...
They could already play, and most of them have been there since grade 6, so they knew what the class routine was. So in that way, it would be a lot easier to teach a class of 70 in grade 8 than it would be in grade 6, which I've also done, and I'm not doing that again.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that's like. Because, I mean, wow. All right, music educators. So how, as a music educator, do you see yourself as a mentor? Have you mentored students or other music teachers, or what does mentorship look like kind of to you in your life? Think about 20 years ago to now, or 23 or 24 years ago to now, and what kind of role or how has it shaped you, kind of a mentorship thing?
That's a good question. Well, I've taken on a number of student teachers. Mentorship is different when you take on a student teacher as opposed to mentorship when you're helping a colleague. With a student teacher, there's a lot of demonstrating, hands-on experience, there's a lot of conversations, and I can say, we're there to support them through things, but we can be blunt and say, look, that didn't work with this. Let's try this. And this is some things we're noticing that you could work on. But when you're working with another colleague, they're a colleague, and you have to support them in a way that they want.
Yeah, you can't overstep.
You can't overstep. So it's more subtle.
Right.
But I'm there for them, I'm here, ask me any question, I will answer it. But I'm not about to say, this, and this. You should work on and just come out with it. You know what I mean?
And it's a huge, when you think about the different aspects of music education as well, I do understand that classroom teachers, they go on field trips, there's beach days like June 16th, or everyone's going to the Salish Sea or the museum or something. But really, school, music educational field trips are quite a big. Well, what are some of the field trips you take your students on, and how is it to organize that? And is that something that's expected of every music teacher? Tell everyone that you go to Vancouver for a few nights because you're crazy.
Well, I do. Well, for band teachers, it is. I don't want to say it's part of the job because it's technically not in our job description, but it is a big part of our job. A lot of it, for me, it's performance based, or we go to festival. It builds community. The kids learn a lot more than just playing. They learn about responsibility, unloading the bus, loading the bus, setting up all the instruments, not the instrument, the percussion instruments, chairs, stands, music. So they all do all that when we go to a school to perform, but it's all organized. But to say that it's part of the job, I don't want to go that far. I do it because I choose to. And these field trips or band trips or music trips are something that it's like a love-hate relationship. It's a lot to organize, but when we're on it, we love it. Because it gives the kids this memorable experience that they won't forget. Because I never forgot any of my band trips growing up. So, at Cedar Hill, we have choir strings and band, and choir does festival in November, and they go up to Campbell River, and our grade 7s do a one-night trip, a festival trip, and perform at festival, and then our grade 8s go on a 3-day band trip to Vancouver and perform at elementary schools and do workshops, and then we also do the fun things, the aquarium or, laser tag.
That's amazing.
And it also
That's amazing.
kids a goal to work towards with their repertoire and what they're playing, because they know they're going to be performing, right? So
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, that's just another thing about music education too. Like you're teaching kids how to prioritize and I just stepped on my own cat. Sorry, Slinky. And how to set goals and then kind of almost why you do set a goal, right?
yeah, but I like other people get companies to organize their trips. I don't. I just do it myself.
Yeah. But is that because you've been doing it for like 2 decades and so you just kind of it kind of keeps itself rolling as long as you are there to do it as well?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I've been doing it for so long, and the schools that I choose, a lot of them are just my friends that are teaching there.
Right. I mean, you know everybody, so that's fair.
I don't know everybody.
You know a lot of people.
Last year I did cold call a few schools, and we played at their school, and that was really fun. It was great.
That's awesome. I do also think that it's really important that sort of bands or like the students that are in the music programs go to other schools and they're like, hey, this is what like it looks like. Do you do any transition sort of assemblies with your music students?
Actually, last year was the first year we did it ever. We played at Doncaster,
Oh.
but I've never done it. Why? It's expensive. Like,
Yeah.
we have to rent a van to transport our percussion equipment and our music stands, and we have to rent a bus to transport all the students if we want to play further than our like neighboring schools down the street. And TOC time, TTOC time away, because I'm away from the other classes I'm supposed to be teaching. So that's like each day, if I'm away for a day, is like $1,000. It's expensive.
Do you have a welcome like assembly at your school that you then do something for prospective grade 6s, or how do you recruit?
Yeah, I think I talked about that earlier. So I have the grade 6s come. Like, I talk to them at their assembly. We have like a welcome assembly, a school-wide assembly for the grade 6s. And then I talk to them and I tell them, you can come in during nutrition break and lunch, try these instruments. This is our music program, just a short thing. And then after a few days into school, then we'll put on a music assembly. And we highlight strings and choir and band and what that looks like, and when we rehearse, and then we demonstrate the instruments again, and then they choose what instruments they want to play, and then they register. And really, if they want to join a few weeks later and they change their mind, great, that's fine. They just show up. It's fine.
No, that's cool. Yeah, my daughter was, their school got visited by the Spectrum Band once, and she just thought it was the most amazing thing. And then she tried playing flute, and that didn't go so well, but now she's on piano, so she's pretty happy.
Yay!
So, is there anything you wish that sort of advisory classroom teachers knew about music education and music teachers that maybe they don't know, or beginning teachers coming into a school maybe for the first time with music? Anything you wish they knew, or any wisdom?
Okay, so I guess for beginning music teachers, just reach out to other music teachers for help. I mean, everybody's been there. It's a hard job. It's an exhausting job, but it's also a very rewarding job. And since we are a tight-knit community and need to support each other because of budget cuts, please reach out. Reach out to your community. Yes, okay. That education isn't just academic.
Yeah.
And music is just as important to your students, or whatever thing they're interested in. Support them.
Yes.
And support the music teacher who puts in a lot of work as well. Just support all your teachers around you. That would be nice.
I think that's pretty fair.
It's a community. It's a community.
It is, and you need all the pieces and everybody in that community to make the community whole. Excellent. So just wrapping up, is there anything else you kind of wanted to say, or anything that's come to your mind as we've been talking that I just want to kind of get out there for anyone listening?
Like, if music is being cut in your school district, please reach out to your music teacher and ask how they're doing, and maybe ask how you can support them and how to fight the cuts. Contact your local union, or the BCMEA if you're in BC, the BC Music Educators Association, on how you can support to fight against these cuts.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Cindy, for coming on to the podcast and joining me here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And appreciate all your advocacy work and everything you do for the students, because the fact that there are students now that had you 10 or more years ago that come up to you and tell you that you're their favorite teacher still and that they still remember some of the lessons is astounding. So you're definitely doing an amazing job, and we're all just, I know I feel grateful to know you and to call you a friend. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, hopefully we'll chat with you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.